Yo, what is going on, my dudes? Welcome to another RuneScape news coverage video. So we're going to be covering the different artwork for the various armors that are coming with the mining and smithing rework. So without any further ado, let's jump right into the video. Let's go.
Jax is the illest. What you talking about, Willis?
Before I get started with the artwork, guys, I want to show you this real quick. This is Mod Stew's mining sites map. This is actually the 5th draft that he's done, the most recent that he actually posted today. And he's still getting feedback for this, and I'll have a link to this actual map down in the description below if you want to go zoom in and get a good detail and look at it. But I believe he's really close to finalizing the map itself. I talked about this previously on a different video regarding it. I think he was on his 2nd or 3rd draft back then. But he's really close to finalizing it, so give your last bits of feedback so he can actually have a finished map for the various different mining sites around the game. With that being said, we're going to jump right into the armors. So the first one, Oricalcum, I have showed this artwork previously on the channel before. It looks alright, and I've voiced my opinion about it in that video. But apparently this is the inferior version, or the base version of the armor. Because if you know, when you're smithing armor with the mining and smithing rework updates, you'll have a base armor that you'll make, and then you can add more resources to it to upgrade it even further. So this is the inferior base version, much like a rune plate body or addy plate body, whatever the case may be. But you can then further upgrade it up to +5, depending on the tier it is. I think only the higher up ones go to +5. Some of the other ones might go up to +4, +3, whatever case may be based on the tier. But that was the base version of Oricalcum. Here we have the actual fully upgraded Oricalcum, and it looks much more bulky, much more plated, you know, from the previous inferior version. So it looks really cool. Let me know what you guys think about this new upgraded version of the Oricalcum armor. Now, let's talk about the lore of the armor itself. Now, the armor is made from the exact same ore or metal that dragon armor is made from. However, a player-made theory that Jagex really likes, and they're probably going with, is that's when dragonkin make the armor and they utilize this metal, they use their own dragonkin breath to forge the armor itself. So that is actually how the dragon can make it, and which is why it comes out as dragon armor and not orichalcum armor. We aren't able to replicate that because obviously we don't have any dragonkin fire available to us, so that's why it comes out as orichalcum. They are still deciding if they want to make this inferior to regular dragon armor, but they're not 100% sure because dragon is really not utilized, so they don't necessarily have to, but that is still up in the air, so just want to let you guys know about that. Anyways, yeah, this is the upgraded Oricalcum version, so let me know what you guys think of it. All the armors going forward, we're going to be showing both the base version and the fully upgraded. And keep in mind that all the upgrades will look identical to the base version, except for the highest upgrade. That being said, let's move on over to the chronium. This is the tier 70 armor. Now, the lore behind the chronium armor is that it's basically you're extracting the ore, if I can call it that, in the earth from deposits left behind from metals in the God Wars. So these are scraps of armor or weapons that belonged to armies back then. Now, the idea is that this armor is something that existed during the God Wars, the actual Necronium armor itself. But you unearthed it, you reshaped it, you revitalized it to modern standards and usability. So I don't know if that means that it was tier 70 back in the day. Not like it even matters, because there was no gameplay back then. It was just all from a lore perspective. Tiers don't even exist. But yeah, that's basically the idea for it. It's also infused with god magic, which was very abundant at that time, considering the land was thrashed and battered by the whims of the gods, constantly fighting each other. So it's a combination of those ancient metals, also the ancient magical powers being put in place from the gods, etc., and the souls who have died during the God Wars. So that's actually the thematics behind Necronium. It's a tier 70. Nothing particularly special about it, but it does look amazing, as you've seen during the explanation, etc. Let me know what you guys think of the Necronium. Really interesting. Moving on, we have Bane. This is the tier 80 armors. Now, there was actually some controversy about whether it should be locked behind Ritual of Majorat or not. Plot-wise, it is locked behind that quest, which is why the controversy sprang forth. Anyways, from a lore perspective, within that quest, it is implied that Bane is going to be vital in the fight with Dragonkin. At least the people of Kethsey truly believed that before their demise. However, Jagex's philosophy on quest prerequisites has changed dramatically over the years, and to be fair, they've mentioned that from a lore standpoint, all 5th Age quests have already happened regardless of whether the player has done them or not. Which makes sense. RuneScape now is in the 6th age, so technically we all already did the Ritual of Majorat. So it's not lore breaking that you can do Bane or without having done Ritual of the Majorat, because from a canonical standpoint you already have. Even though it seems like when you're doing a 5th age quest that you're doing it right there, it's more so that you're going back in time and reliving that event. Although any of us who did it obviously in the 5th age, we're doing it live at that time, but they've repurposed it now that we're in the 6th age, so it doesn't actually break any lore. So in my personal opinion, I think it's fine, it fits, it doesn't really matter to me either way though, but if you have a differing opinion, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Does this satisfy it, or do you think there would be a better explanation? I don't know. I'm okay with it. It's not a big deal for me. But moving on to the actual armors itself, if they decide to let us tune it to a specific monster, they say that they will add a 25% damage boost to it. Not an accuracy boost, however, just a damage boost, which will make that actually the best weapon in slot, even better than a Dragor for that specific target, assuming you have 100% accuracy, which actually is a really cool way to take it. It does give use for these items. Now, if they didn't have it, there's so much level 80 armors and weapons readily available to the player, so most people may or may not even engage with this, but now that it does have that added bonus of under certain circumstances could be the best in slots, does actually make Bane armor worth using in those particular cases. So that is cool to keep value to that tier. Anyways, we're going to move on to the final tier, tier 90, and that is Elder Rune. Now, some people love the name Elder Rune, some people completely hate it. I think the community is torn, but we'll talk about why they chose Elder Rune as a name going forward. So they ended up going with this name over Ethereum because they wanted to put the mechanics of the mining and smithing rework first. Comprehension was extremely important with this update, and being able to search and find things on the GE associated with Elder Rune was really important as well. Even more so than trying to make fancy names that fit in with lore or whatever the case is. Also, the word elder in RuneScape has actually developed somewhat of a precedent of being the highest tier. For example, elder gods are the top of the hierarchy in the level of gods, and their powers and abilities, etc. If you want a more practical example, we have elder logs in the game for woodcutting. And those are the best logs you could possibly chop in the woodcutting skills. So now you'll also have Elder Rune available to you in the mining and smithing skills. Now, it's not to say that they actually had that in mind when they came up with the name Elder Rune on purpose, but now that they do have that parity of Elder Rune meaning the highest tier, there is something to be said about that. So let me know what you think about that. Me personally, I don't care either way. It's just a name to me. I don't care if it's Ethereum. I don't care if it's Elder Rune, as long as it makes sense and they're able to make a case for either of the two. So I don't care either way. But if you're somebody who does lean towards a particular name of what you want the tier 90 to be, then I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any strong opinions this way or that, please voice them in the comments below. But yeah, you can see here the armor itself does look really cool. The upgraded version looks very gladiator-esque, and overall the armors as a whole that we've shown so far really do ground themselves in a lot of medieval feel. I mean, some of them are a little more flashy than others, but overall it does still look very much like something someone would actually make to protect themselves. Anyways, that will wrap it up for the armor art showcase. Let me know what you think about the various different armors and all the things we discussed about the lore behind the armors. Love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget about Mod Stew's mining site post. Link will be in the description below. So if you have any particular opinions about where different ores should be scattered around the game world, then do check out that document and do voice your opinion to Mod Stew. On Twitter would probably be the best ways to get a hold of him. So please be active in shaping your update for the mining and smithing rework to exactly what you expect and want from the content. And that will wrap it up the video for me. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed yet and you want to stay up to date on all things RuneScape related, then hit that subscribe button. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. I am out. Peace.